Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you. Great to have you along. This episode brought to you by RCB Bank, and we're joined today by baseball coach Grant Middlebrooks. Grant, how's it going, man? And let's jump right into it. I mean, baseball season is over. It never, unless you win a state title, ends quite like you want it to end. But at the same time, for what you were able to do this year, you felt like there were some great improvements as far as the program's concerned out there on the field.
Yeah, year two. I mean, year two was a lot better than year one. We found a way to compete more, and this team battled through a lot of adversity, not having home games for the first half of games. And we won 11 games in April, and then we ended up winning a regional game, and we're going to have 4 guys signed. So we've got Brody signing the UCO. We've got Aiden Howard signing the Oklahoma Panhandle State, and he's super excited about that. Just talked to him. And Titan Butte's going to sign with Mid-America Christian University, which is my alma mater, and then Colton Jones is going to sign with Southwestern. So, I mean, we got 4 dudes that are signing. We've got winning a regional game for the first time in 3-4 years. Yeah. We put in a good, respectable performance in the regional where really a couple things go our way.
Well, you had a state semifinalist down.
And we had them beat.
Yeah.
And we had them on the ropes. And then even then, when they did jump on us, we didn't quit.
Yep.
And then Bixby even, a couple things go our way, and we're sitting there in a chance to be in a regional final. And so there's a lot of good things going on. From a program standpoint, we're at a better place than we were last year for sure.
Yeah, and baseball, it's a coulda, shoulda, woulda sport in so many ways. I mean, with different things. I mean, for a coach, when do you take somebody off the mound? Do you keep them? How do you pitch this, considering compared to other stuff? But just a few little moments. I mean, I was at that regional. Just a few little moments changed the whole complexity of the game, whether it's a pitch or giving an extra base or whether it's a swing of the bat. It can change everything.
Kicking baseballs hurts.
Yeah.
Right. And what's funny is
free bases are the turnovers of the world in baseball.
And we didn't win those battles that weekend. But what's funny is everybody knows that the GOAT is the greatest of all time. But baseball, the GOAT is Billy Buckner. Booting baseballs. You're the GOAT, you're the laughing stock in baseball. And unfortunately, when you're kicking baseballs around, it becomes kind of a commotion a little bit. And so we ended up kicking the ball around a little bit, which we hadn't done all year. We've been pretty good defensively. But we kicked the ball around, but we hit. We hadn't hit all year. And so you just need all 3 facets of the game to coincide and to where there's some moments where we walk a guy and normally we're okay because we play good defense. Well, we walk a guy and then we kick a ball. Now it's second and third, nobody out. Now it's first and second, nobody out. And all they got to do is get a bunt down. And then you throw it down the line. Now it's bases loaded or they score 2. And so those little details, those little moments is kind of what we struggled in on the back end.
Well, and I think with the diamond sports, because you play so many games. I mean, I feel the same way with softball. You're going to hit a wall somewhere throughout the season, and it's, a lot of the times, whether you can power through that wall or not, maybe the difference. And, that's the one thing I said about the Cats. They were better this year than they were a year ago, but at the same time, they didn't give up. I mean, there was times that you were like, this team, let's just quit and let's go home. Yeah. They didn't do that. They fought back many times and at least made it a game.
Well, in that Stillwater game, what did we get down 11-4 after putting up 4 in the first? Sophomore hits a home run.
Looks like it may be a run rule at one point.
It looks like it's going to be a run rule, and all of a sudden we put up a 5 spot, and then we put up a 4 spot, and now we're sitting at 13-11 with a chance to get back into it, and really had a couple base running mistakes that cost us from being tied. And so then we ended up giving up a couple more runs, but they didn't quit. You beat Jinx when you could have folded after game 1 and said, all right, let's just go home. Well, you beat Jinx and you prolong it to the next day like we talked about on that day. Aiden Howard goes complete game, throws great for us in game 2. And then game 3, we lose 8-4. Lance Arbona is a sophomore. He went 5 innings pitched, gave up 3 earned runs, punched out 6, no walks. Yeah. And then on the offensive side goes 3 for 3 with 2 doubles.
Great game from him.
I mean, just like you want to talk about giving yourself hope for the upcoming years to see a kid step up in an elimination game.
And it's a former state champion.
It's a former state champion who we had to play in districts and we had him beat in districts. For him to step up and just not shy away from the light just stay calm and poised and collected and just go produce was awesome.
Well, that brings me up to the next point, and that is you do got some guys, senior class that's moving on,
Yeah.
but a lot of optimism with some of the young guys you're able to get on the field and the mentality they have going forward.
We started 5 sophomores. Give or take, at different times of the year, we started 5 sophomores. We started multiple juniors. And so we've got some experience coming back to where last year we had experience coming back that are going to be seniors, and you're sitting there saying, how many of these guys are going to take the next step? Well, these guys are sophomores.
Right.
Are they going to take the next step and continue to build on what they did this year? Because Callan Covey, our shortstop, I mean, he basically hit 450 on the back end of the year. He ended up hitting 300 as a sophomore at the 6A level. That doesn't happen very often.
No.
You know, and he can pitch it for us next year. I mean, there's a lot. We will lose about 200 innings. Brody Wicker is our number 1, and Aiden Howard is our number 2. We're losing 200 innings, but we're also gaining Lance, who had big-time innings last 2 years. Isaiah Brandsetter's pitched this last 2 years. Callan had to pitch a little bit this year. Cameron Schmidt, a little lefty, had some big outs this year that gave us chances to win. Jackson Hunt will be a senior next year, and he's pitched a lot for us. So we're not losing as many innings as it might feel like. We do have some experience coming back.
Well, and you know, you bring up Aiden. Aiden pitched great down
incredible
there as well. But you are looking at that. Lance, I think, has pretty much set himself up as he's going to be he's going to be a top guy on the mound.
I agree.
So with baseball, it's always you got to find some arms. So you got guys, but like you said, who's going to take that next step to maybe be those guys that can step up and be 2 or 3 on the mound? Right?
And that's what we're waiting. And that's at the 6A level, you need 15 to be able to map through a whole season. You need 15 arms.
Yeah.
And my first year here, we didn't have that, and we were just piecemealing it together and hoping it works, throwing gum at a wall and hoping it sticks. This year we had that because our young guys were finally ready. So not only are we waiting to see, hey, who's going to take the next step to be that number 1, number 2, number 3 guy, we're also waiting for these young pups that are down here growing. Who's going to step up and be our back-end weekend guys?
Yeah.
Who's going to help us? Who's going to be a relief guy in a district game when you need him? Because this year we had Cam. Cam as a lefty come in after Brody was great. Callan as a close guy. Who's going to step up and fill those voids that we're going to have that are young pieces that nobody really knows about yet?
Well, and with that, one of the biggest issues with pitching, get over the plate. I mean, that's the thing is like it's tough, especially for young guys. You're not throwing where you need to be throwing. You're holding it too long. You're letting go too early. And free bases, as we talked about, it really hurts you in regionals. Those are the things that really will kill you as a team. So trying to get those guys and saying, yeah, you may let a guy hit. You give up a base, but they had to earn that base. But next time they put it in the field, we're going to have our fielders go out and they're going to make a play. Yeah. So just don't give up those free bases. That's hard to get through those young guys' heads sometimes, isn't it?
You know, we did better this year as a whole. I mean, because Brody walked 27 all year.
Not bad when you look at the many innings pitched.
48 innings pitched. He struck out 80. It's not just the free bases. It's when you walk them.
Right.
Right. It's just like a timely hit beats a hit. Right. Timely walks get you in trouble because now we're walking people when you're dominating. And Aiden Howard, it was hit or miss. There was days that he wouldn't walk anybody. Jinx. He walked none, but he hit 4.
He hit 4, yeah. That was,
and that was not most of the time when he's on, he's controlled, he was in it. But it was hit or miss. But Lance, that's where Lance is really good. Lance doesn't walk people.
Yeah.
Lance was 66% strikes this year. And that's our goal is 60% and above strike percentage. And most of our guys, like Brody was right around there, 60. Aiden Howard was 60. And so we work on strike throwing. That's our goal because we don't have these 87, 80, 89 arms. We got 1, but we don't have 5+. So we've got those strikes, and our kids have done a pretty good job for the most part of buying into, hey, we're going to throw strikes.
And trust on the field.
And trust.
You got to have the guys go, not make errors, and then every once in a while it's like, hey, that's part of baseball. You give up a run.
Yeah.
You're going to give up a run because hey, our bats can go get that back. Yes. So that's part of the strategy of it. So I think, and that's the next thing is you guys did have maybe some more errors than you wanted out in the regional. I know the first day was really rough with the wind. you need to be able to play through that. I know that's what you're going to say. I know that's what the kids are going to say. But it was. I mean, when the ball is hit straight up in the air behind catcher, and it looks like the ball's going to be 15 feet out of play, and all of a sudden it blows back in. It was tough, I think, on those guys as far as trying to make the catches, especially on some balls that were hit high in the air. But the little things like base running errors, things like that too. But you got a lot of these sophomores and some of these younger guys coming up. Now they got another year under their belt. They know how important it is. They know that those mistakes will come back to haunt us. And that's going to be very valuable for you going forward.
Just for them to get the regional feeling is important. And so a lot of these guys that were puppies, as I call them, last year, I took them with us.
Yeah.
They didn't play in the regional, but I took them with us. This year they got to play. And not only did they get to play, they played pretty well for their youth and for everything, and they won a game. So now it's time to take the next step. Hey, it's regional final, fellas. Hey, it's win game one, get to the regional final and see what we can do and do some damage. But now we've got that confidence to where I don't know if we really truly believe that we can win in a regional setting, because we've been close. My first year we had Bixby beat.
Yeah.
We had Bixby on the ropes, and I'm sure in the years past they had people beat, because when you got a guy like Brody, you got a guy pitch like Aiden, you always had chances. Well, now we know that we can win. We know that we can compete. And so from a defensive standpoint, our kids definitely know, hey, we boot balls around, it's not going to be good. But these kids now learn the taste of, hey, we won, but they have also learned the taste of where Bixby, where we had some plays that weren't made that they make every day of the week.
Yeah.
And so now they got that bitter taste of not producing too, where you had some sophomores like Isaiah goes home run in game one and has really, really good days, but then there's some really bad days as well. And that's the same thing with Callan, has a really good day, goes home run in game two to get us going.
Yep.
But then defensively wasn't as good as he normally is. I mean, he only made 10 errors on the year, and 4 of them came from regionals, right? So he's going to continue to get better. Isaiah and all these guys, they're seeing, we can compete with these guys. Now we can go beat these guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you look throughout this season, even district play before regional, you guys competed. That was the thing. You competed, and did it always go your way? No, right? Record reflects that. But you were right there on the cusp. And I think about football. Football had their situation with that years ago, right? And that's changed now for them. Where now there's a walkout. When they walk out in the field, they believe we can win this game. And just getting that belief in a program is sometimes the hardest step.
It's the next step for us, and it is. It's just compete, don't quit. That's what we preach to our kids is don't quit. We don't quit on you. You don't quit on me. Whatever else happens, happens. But we don't quit on you, and you don't quit on me. And that's just the way we try to get everybody to believe that way in themselves. And so to the point of, man, you lose 6-4 to Bixby at home. You lose 4-2 to Broken Arrow, and you lose 2-1 to Piedmont. You lose 4-2 to Enid. You lose 2-1 in a heartbreaker.
A lot of state tournament teams. A lot of teams on the cusp of making the state tournament.
And then you beat Union, who's a power team. And you beat Union, and that, like I said, in April we kind of turned it on. But go figure, we finally had home games. But we started to turn it on to where, hey, here we get going. Now we're hitting the right stride at the right time.
Yeah.
And so that's where, even Bixby, at Bixby, we were up 1-0 in the 5th. And we fell apart in the 6th. We gave up 10. But, we were there. You're just trying to get the kids to trust that, hey, we can compete with these big dogs. We can go beat these off. Because if you look down the road about an hour west, Enid's not an elite, great powerhouse team, but they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Why? Because they've developed. They've learned how to win. Coach Gore's put a culture in there of winning and grit and tough, and that's why they beat these Tulsa schools. They don't have all the glitz and glamour like the Tulsa schools do. Why can't we do that here at Ponca? Well, we're starting to get our next year 3 will be the next staple and the next piece and the next growth, and we keep going steps forward. It's good that we're going forward and not backwards.
Yeah, all right. You brought up the new field, and that's something we haven't got a chance to talk to you about because we talked to you before the season, or as the season was just getting started. Had to be nice to finally get on there, but at the same time, it seems like, man, I wish we'd have had more time now that the season's over, right?
Hey, the field was awesome. If you haven't been out there, the press box is awesome. We're appreciative of everything else. It just hurt us from the fact that we're 2 hours away from everybody else.
Yeah.
And now we're playing double headers at Piedmont. And, when you're younger, double headers aren't that bad. But when you're in a varsity game in a 7-inning, tough, knockdown, drag-out game one.
And you're doing it every week.
That game 2, you just have no juice. You have no energy. No matter what you say, no matter what you think you're trying. If you win, you might. If you lose that game, now you're sitting there and you're on survival mode. You have no energy, you have no juice, and then we got a 2-hour drive back home.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, it kind of hurt us.
Right.
But the facility's awesome.
No,
our facilities are the best facilities. Some of the best facilities in the state, in my opinion.
And you went through that this year. Next year, you won't have to go through that.
No, we won't.
It'll be great. And like I said, that's such a great thing for not only Ponca schools but also the community to have a really top-notch baseball field.
Well, if you come in here and you go to Stillwater. They're state semifinalists and they play at a community park.
Yep.
Right. So, and that's no knock on them, but they play at a community park, and we have a state of the art. You come in here, you know that the place is taken care of. It looks good. It just hurt us this year because that's just part of it. Whenever you got 17, 16, 18-year-olds, it's just a little bit of adversity, a little bit more adversity. That's one more thing that's out of our control, right?
Yeah.
As coaches, as players, it's just one more thing that's out of our control whenever we already have enough things out of our control from a baseball standpoint.
The only thing I could think of that kind of related to it in my life was when my high school created their football program. They didn't have lights.
Yeah.
So the first year they couldn't afford them, right? So the first year they played everything on the road. The second year they would play on Saturdays during the day, the home games, and finally they got their lights in on the third year. So I remember that all too well, and how much of a disadvantage it was. Now, by the time I got in high school, we had that stuff, which was good. But at the time, they didn't, and it really hurt that junior and senior class that didn't have that ability to get on their home field. So it was kind of the same way. You guys were able to do it late, but next year you're not going to have that problem. You're going to get a full season
100%.
And exactly how you want it there on that field.
No excuses.
Yeah,
right.
No excuses.
No excuses. I mean, you still got to go play the games, and so that's something that you said. Y'all didn't have lights. Hey, we didn't have lights in my college. We didn't have a locker room.
Yeah.
So try to recruit to a place where you don't have lights, you don't have a locker room, you don't have an indoor, you don't have a weight room, and you're trying to get guys to come in and play, and that's kind of how it felt like. It's like, okay, we're just kind of at a disadvantage right now, but. We had March 28th circled on our calendar.
Yeah, no, y'all had
it to get home to be able to come and put on a show and give ourselves the best chance to win.
Y'all did, and they had a great opening day experience out there and everything. So once again,
Brody hit big speed, and we ended up losing, but Brody pitched really great, and we actually scored 4 runs and played really well. So I mean, it's a cool atmosphere. If we could get people out, and that was something that Booster Club and myself and the coaches, we came up with sponsor nights trying to get people to the ballpark. Come to the ballpark. Give us the best chance to have a cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
So community, family type stuff.
It is. It makes a difference when you get out there and support, no matter what the sport is.
Absolutely.
So, well, Coach, appreciate the time.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
This is Grant Middlebrooks. This episode has been brought to you by RCB Bank. That's going to do it for Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and until next time, go Cats.